All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our funding opportunities workshop tonight. And we're so excited to see everyone here tonight. And first, I would like to introduce a little about ourselves to you all. And my name is Jen. I'm one of the NMSU Global Academic Advisors, and I just joined the NMSU July this year. So good to meet all of you. And it's also my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker tonight, Michael Keachman today. Michael is gonna hi Michael, and he's a financial aid outreach advisor at NMSU, and he's going to explore with us all of the funding options that NMSU Global has to offer. And first and foremost, we want all of you to know that our student engagement and academic advising team is here to promote your educational success, and along with our financial aid and scholarship services team work with us as a team to ensure your access and opportunities to higher education and help you pay for your education at NMSU. And now Michael will give you an overview of our funding resources, and that's welcome, Michael.
All right, thank you, Jen. So when we look at the different funding resources available to our NMSU Global students, financial aid could be broken down into two different categories. In our first category for our funding resources, we have our scholarships. In there, we have the state scholarships for those of you who are New Mexico residents. We also have our Scholar Dollars scholarship application and then some private scholarship opportunities as well. And then the second side of the funding opportunities for our NMSU Global students, we have the federal side of financial aid. This is where you do your FAFSA and you can receive those grants, student loans, or work study. We're going to go over these different types of financial aid and each of the different funding resources, starting with the state scholarships on our next slide. So if you are one of our students joining NMSU Global from here in the state of New Mexico, meaning you are a New Mexico resident, you may be eligible to receive one or both of these state scholarships. So the first state scholarship that NMSU Global students can receive if they are a New Mexico resident is the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship. If you had heard about free college in the state of New Mexico in the news, what that was referring to is the Opportunity Scholarship right here. So of course, college isn't free, but with the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship, that scholarship can cover up to 100% of tuition and required fees for students who are eligible. So in order to be eligible for the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship, you must be a New Mexico resident, you must be a first-time degree-seeking student, and then you must have attempted less than 160 total credits. If you do meet these criteria and you are meeting the GPA component, which is a 2.5 GPA, then you should be eligible for the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship. But of course, the biggest determining factor for this scholarship is whether or not you are a New Mexico resident. We always get asked questions, how do students become New Mexico residents? That isn't fully a question for financial aid. Usually we refer students to the Student Records Office here at NMSU. They can answer a lot of those questions. But usually there isn't a quick way to becoming a resident. Usually you do have to fully commit to moving and living in New Mexico. But again, for those of you who are New Mexico residents, you may be eligible to receive that Opportunity Scholarship. The other state scholarship that students who are New Mexico residents may be able to receive is the New Mexico Lottery Scholarship. This scholarship has been around for a little longer. This one is a little more familiar with our New Mexico residents, but this scholarship does cover up to 100% of tuition. So the NMSU Lottery Scholarship is a little different. It does have a lot stricter criteria. So in order to be eligible for the Lottery Scholarship, you would have had to start receiving it straight out of high school. You would have had to enroll at a qualifying institution within 16 months of your high school graduation. So not all students who are New Mexico residents are usually or may be eligible for the New Mexico Lottery Scholarship, just depending on when they started attending college. But like it says on the slide, for the lottery, you must be a New Mexico resident, must have graduated from New Mexico high school within 16 months of your enrollment. And then it only does cover 100% of your tuition. So we do have students, they do receive both scholarships. Usually what that looks like is lottery does 100% of their tuition, and then opportunity covers the remaining fees not covered by lottery. But as I said, the eligibility for lottery is a little trickier, and unfortunately students can't gain eligibility for lottery but students can technically gain eligibility for opportunity if they do become New Mexico residents and they are within that 160 credit threshold and they do have the GPA. But so just keep in mind, if you are a New Mexico resident, double check, make sure you are receiving these scholarships. You don't want to miss out on the 100% of tuition and required fees. But don't worry, since these scholarships are only for New Mexico residents, we do have more scholarship opportunities available on our next slide. So continuing on, we have our Scholar Dollars application. What Scholar Dollars is it's an annual application for many more scholarship opportunities available to our students. So I think Scholar Dollars is a really unique opportunity and a pretty unique application because these Scholar Dollars scholarships are generated specific to each student. So when you're doing your Scholar Dollars application, it will take a look at a couple different things. First, it will take a look at the fact that you guys are NMSU Global students. So it will give you NMSU Global specific scholarships. Also, these Scholar Dollars applications will take into account other things such as which department you're in or what major you're pursuing. So all students at NMSU are eligible to do a Scholar Dollars application. So we do encourage all students to do a Scholar Dollars application. As I said, Scholar Dollars is an annual application, so you do have to do it every year. And the new Scholar Dollars application for next school year just opened up on October 1st. So Scholar Dollars opens every year on October 1st. It has a March 1st priority deadline. And I know it's closer to the end of the month, so Scholar Dollars has been open for a couple weeks now, but it is a brand new application. It is a fresh application. Not a lot of students have done it yet. So we not want to only encourage you to do a Scholar Dollars application, but we also want to encourage you to, do it well. Don't get it done just to get it done, but also try to get it done early. It still is October. I've said this a few times. It only just opened a few weeks ago. So if you all are looking for more scholarship opportunities, this Scholar Dollars application is one of your best bets for more scholarships. These are really good opportunities to write about yourself, write about your goals, write about your aspirations, write about your interests, write about what you're involved in, what you're in college for, what you want to do after college. I don't have the exact statistics for NMSU Global, but in total, there are just under 3,700 scholarships for Scholar Dollars total. Those 3,700 scholarships are split up between NMSU main campus, the branch campuses, NMSU Global, and then all of those scholarships are split up between the colleges and the departments and the specific majors like I talked about before. So there are a ton of scholarships available within the Scholar Dollars system. And honestly, sometimes some of these scholarships go unawarded just because students aren't really doing these applications. So once again, we want to encourage all students to do a Scholar Dollars application, complete it as thoroughly as possible, write as much as you can, take your time. Less is not more for the Scholar Dollars application. More is definitely more in this instance. So do it well, and ideally do it early. I've said it a couple times. It's still October. It just opened. It still is super early. So once again, we do want to encourage as many students as possible. Do the Scholar Dollars application again. Some departments have early bird scholarships. So the earlier you do it, you may qualify for an early bird scholarship. And then there are also scholarships for students who do these applications in consecutive years. So maybe if you haven't done one yet, do it this year. You could do it again next year. There are a ton of scholarship opportunities through Scholar Dollars. We just need students to complete these applications. But if we continue on, Scholar Dollars isn't the only way for students to get more scholarships. On our next slide, we have some information regarding private scholarships available to NMSU students. So the way these private scholarships work is a lot of times we have these outside groups and organizations, and they reach out to our office with these scholarship opportunities. So what happens is those scholarship opportunities get sent to me and I review them. I make sure it's a real scholarship. And if I'm able to verify that it is a legitimate scholarship, and if I'm able to verify that it is a real scholarship, what I go ahead and do is I post the scholarship on our private scholarships webpage. So we have this page on our website for all of our private scholarships. I do update the page pretty frequently. I try to add around 10 new scholarships each month. And then I do have links to additional scholarship databases as well. And then there are links to scholarship databases maybe for international students or for students who aren't US citizens. And then there are just general scholarship databases in addition to all of the individual scholarships I've added myself. So if you guys have already done your Scholar Dollars application and you are looking for additional scholarship opportunities, we do like to refer students to our private scholarships page. Of course, these are scholarships separate from NMSU. They are external to our system. But as I said, I do my best to review them and vet them and put them out there for our students. So of course, once again, if you're looking for those more scholarship opportunities, you can always check out our private scholarship opportunities page. It is updated frequently, and there are scholarships that do run year round. Continuing on the next slide, we're getting into the other side of financial aid. So of course, the first side was the scholarship side of financial aid. Now the other side of financial aid, that's the federal side of financial aid. So in order to be eligible for any type of federal financial aid, whether it be loans, grants, or work study, you're going to need to complete and submit a FAFSA application, and you're going to need to do it every year. So FAFSA just determines your need and eligibility for federal aid, and it must be completed annually. So normally FAFSA would open in October. Usually every year FAFSA has always opened on October 1st, but of course we're near the end of October. FAFSA hasn't opened yet. That's because the FAFSA opening has been delayed until December for this month. Now, we don't have an exact date in December yet. We just know it will open at some point during the month of December. But the reason the FAFSA has been delayed from October until December for this year is just because they're making a lot of large changes to the FAFSA application. The first change, and probably one of the biggest changes, is that the number of questions on the application has been greatly reduced. So the number of questions on the FAFSA has been reduced from 108 down to around between 36 and 46 questions. Another big change is that if you file taxes with the IRS, any of your tax information will automatically transfer to your FAFSA application. In the past, you either had to manually enter it all, or you had to try to get it to transfer and it wouldn't work half the time. But now if you have filed, all of that financial information will automatically transfer. And then there are also some new formulas for awarding certain awards, such as the Pell Grant. So we've been telling students, maybe if you've done the FAFSA in the past and you didn't maybe get any aid, or you didn't get as much as you want, we are encouraging students to do this new FAFSA again when it opens up in December. Give it another shot, because they do have these new formulas for awarding, and the U.S. Department of Education is projecting more students should be eligible for more aid with this new FAFSA. So keep an eye out for it in December. Try to get it done before that March 1st priority deadline. We'll talk more about why here in just a few slides, but definitely we do want to encourage students to complete their FAFSA each year as well. So if we continue on to the next slide, one of the reasons to do your FAFSA application and one of the federal aid awards you may get from your FAFSA are grants. So grants are a form of need-based aid that does not need to be repaid. It's kind of like a scholarship. You get the money, it's used for you going to school, and you don't have to pay it back. Now, the thing about these grants is that they are need-based, and your need is determined by FAFSA. So your eligibility for these grants is determined by your FAFSA application, meaning not all students may be eligible. Also, some of these grants may have limited funding available. So we do encourage students to try to complete their FAFSA application early. So there are both federal grants, and then there are state grants as well for students living here in the state of New Mexico who are New Mexico residents. When it comes to these state grants, those are some of the ones that do have more limited funding. So we do see it sometimes a student would have been eligible, but they did their FAFSA a little too late. We had run out of funding. So in order to try to maximize your federal aid award, in order to try to get some of these grants with more limited funding, we do want to encourage you all to complete that FAFSA application early. But continuing on to our next slide, our next type of federal financial aid, those are those federal student loans. Now, if you do your FAFSA application, you're going to get offered federal student loans, whether you want them or not. Now, when it comes to student loans, of course, student loans aren't always ideal, but they are sometimes necessary. When it comes to students considering, taking out loans to pay for their education or to pay for going to college, usually these federal student loans that students get offered from their FAFSA usually do have better interest rates and repayment methods compared to some of those other private loans. So when you do your FAFSA application, you may get offered one of two types or both types of federal student loans. So the two types of student loans you could get from your FAFSA are subsidized and unsubsidized. So the major difference between the two is that subsidized loans are need-based. So what that means is not everybody will get offered a subsidized loan from their FAFSA. And the other thing about subsidized loans is that they do not accumulate interest while you are enrolled at least part-time in school. Compare that to unsubsidized loans. Those are not need-based, so nearly everybody gets offered an unsubsidized loan if you complete your FAFSA. And if you do take out an unsubsidized loan, it will start accumulating interest as soon as the funds are paid out to you. Now, the thing about these federal student loans is if you do choose to go that route, you don't have to make payments while you're in school. You don't have to start making payments until 6 months after you leave school, whether that be because you graduated or whether because you dropped below part-time. Now, as I said, you don't have to make payments while you're in school for these loans, and there are somewhat more forgiving repayment programs for these federal student loans. There's 10-year based plans, 20-year based plans, and there's income-based plans. Me personally, I did have to take out student loans when I went to school. And of course, we did have that payment freeze these past few years, but that just ended. So I was supposed to start making payments on my student loans again. They wanted me to pay $180 a month. But the federal government came out with this new SAVE repayment plan, it's called. I got on the new SAVE repayment plan. It's a new income-based plan, and my student loan payments went from $180 a month down to $0 a month. So that's really great. I'm really excited to be on this new loan repayment plan where my payments are so low. And, compared to if I had taken out a private loan, there wouldn't be an opportunity for such repayment programs. So even though it wasn't ideal when I took out the loans, it's not as bad as it could have been thanks to, these different federal repayment plans. So as I said, loans aren't always ideal, but they are sometimes necessary. And if it does become necessary, there are a couple different options for you in regards to paying them back. But when we continue on to the next slide with our third and final type of federal financial aid, we have work study. So what work study is it is a federal or state funded part-time job where you earn up to your work study award amount. So the thing about these work study positions is that these are in-person working positions. There aren't any type of virtual or distant work study positions as of right now. So unfortunately, you only would be able to do a work study job if you are located with us here in Las Cruces. But if you are with us here in Las Cruces, you can do a work study job even if you are attending the NMSU Global Campus. So as I said, work study is a part-time job. You work 15 to 20 hours per week and you earn up to your work study award amount. So in order to be eligible for work study, you must have done your FAFSA. And then if you are interested in a work study position, and if you are located locally in Las Cruces and would have the ability to physically work a work study job, you could browse work study jobs, you could browse work study positions, or you could browse any student employment positions on the Handshake app. If you're not familiar with Handshake, it's a student job search portal that is integrated to your My NMSU account. You could access it from your My NMSU homepage. And as I said, you could get on Handshake, set up your profile, and you could browse both work study and non-work study student employment opportunities. Now, continuing on to our next slide, in order for students to renew and keep their financial aid, they do have to be meeting a couple standards. So in order to be eligible for any type of financial aid, including federal aid, students do have to be meeting SAP, or Satisfactory Academic Progress. So SAP is updated at the end of every semester, and it has 3 components, and students do have to be meeting all 3 components. So the first component, students must have a 2.0 cumulative GPA or higher. Second, you must pass 70% of the credits that you attempt. So failing or withdrawing from classes will lower your completion rate. And then third and finally, you must finish your degree within 150% of your degree plan's published length. The majority of our degrees are around 120 credits, so 150% of that is around 180 credits. So usually once students get to around 180 credits, they start creeping up on their time frame maximum. But as I said, students do have to be meeting all three components of SAP. They have to keep that 2.0 GPA, 70% completion rate, and finish within 150% of their published degree length. As I said, your SAP progress is updated at the end of every semester. You can always review your SAP status in your My NMSU account. In the financial aid section, there's a whole tab that says satisfactory academic progress, so you can always stay up to date on it there. So continuing on with our next slide, to just briefly touch on a couple of the different payment options. So your financial aid paying out to your student account, that is your first payment option. The way financial aid works is it pays out the Monday before classes start every semester, and it automatically goes towards paying off your student account balance. So whether you have either of our state scholarships, maybe you have some Scholar Dollars scholarships, private scholarships, or some federal grants, your financial aid will automatically be applied to your student account first. Then if you do have a remaining balance on your student account after your financial aid is applied, there is a payment plan option available to students. The way that works is students pay 10% down when they enroll in it, and then the remaining balance is split up between 4 months. So the payment plan is there just to help students make smaller, more affordable payments over time, and it does help students manage the cost. So after your financial aid pays out to your student account each semester, if you do have a remaining balance and you're wondering, how you could pay that off, if you're not taking out loans, which I talked about earlier, that's always an option for you. If you haven't done a Scholar Dollars yet after the semester has started and aid is paid out, you still can do one. But of course, as I said, we like you guys to do those Scholar Dollars applications early. Or if your aid is already paid out, you still have a balance, you could look into private scholarships, or of course, you could consider going towards that payment plan. So if we continue on to our next slide, financial aid could be complicated. There could be questions along the way. So NMSU Global does have financial aid advisors available to our NMSU Global students. Currently, we just have 2 advisors up and running, but we should have a full team of 5 dedicated NMSU Global advisors here within the next few months. But currently we have Nina, she's a global advisor from Florida. And then we also have Lissa, she's a global financial aid advisor from here in Las Cruces with us. And then we do have 3 additional global financial aid advisors as well. So if you guys have questions or concerns, you'll be able to reach out to your financial aid advisor. Currently, you could reach out to either Nina or Lissa, or there is a dedicated NMSU Global Financial Aid email as well. I know as the semesters get underway and maybe you get your midterms back, sometimes the grades that you're getting in your midterms aren't always what you want them to be. So if you guys are progressing through your semesters and maybe you're considering dropping a class because maybe you're not at where you want to be, we do want to encourage you guys to check with us, check with financial aid first. So your financial aid global advisors, those are individuals you can check with if you're considering dropping a class. Dropping classes can impact your financial aid. It can reduce your completion rate. And depending on if you drop below certain parameters, it may affect some awards that you're receiving. So as I said, if you're considering dropping a class, reach out to one of our global advisors or reach out to our global financial aid office so they can take a look at your account and can provide you more information. But if we continue on to go to the next slide to just kind of summarize what we went through, New Mexico residents, we have those state scholarships available to you. And then to all of our NMSU students, we have that Scholar Dollars application. It is currently open. It is super early. So we do want to encourage every single student to do that Scholar Dollars application. And then, of course, we do have NMSU Global Financial Aid Advisors. They are there to help you out. They are there to answer questions, and they are there to be a resource for you. Jen, do you have any summary points you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, I think this what you have said is very thorough. So thank you so much, Michael. Especially, we want to remind students about the impact that their financial aid or tuition assistance program might have if they drop a class or do not pass a class. They always want to check in with their financial aid advisor, and then check in with their academic advisor. So next slide up, here is our ad for our next seminar for academic success. It's Build Your Professional Network, will be presented by Shelby Sears, who is our career advisor, and me in 2 weeks at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. All right, we want to let you all know that how much we appreciate you and your time. And Michael, especially, thank you so much again for helping us to navigate this amazing world of financial aid opportunities at NMSU. So now, if you have any questions, feel free to shout it out or just send us in the chat, and we'll Michael and I will try our best to answer them. So we do have several questions in the chat. So Michael, the first question will be, if we meet all the criteria for the NMSU Opportunity Scholarship, are we guaranteed to receive it, or is it selective?
So it is not selective. If you do meet all of the eligibility criteria, you are guaranteed to receive it. So to just touch on the eligibility criteria for the Opportunity Scholarship again, first and foremost, you must be a New Mexico resident. Being a New Mexico resident is the singular most important eligibility step for the Opportunity Scholarship. So you must be a New Mexico resident. You must be pursuing your first bachelor's degree. You must have attempted less than 160 total credits, and you must have at least a 2.5 GPA. So as long as you're a New Mexico resident, getting your first degree, taking less than 160 credits, and you have a 2.5 GPA, then you would be eligible to receive the Opportunity Scholarship. It's not selective or limited, or there's not a limited cap that we can give out or limited number that we can give out or anything like that.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you. Priscilla has a question. Is there financial assistance for master's degree from FAFSA? That's a great question.
That is a really great question. Thank you for that question, Priscilla. So the answer is yes, but unfortunately it is extremely limited. The only federal aid assistance you could get from your FAFSA application for master's level and above would be those unsubsidized loans I talked about. So for NMSU, as an example, master's students could receive up to $20,000 of unsubsidized loans per year. So of course, those unsubsidized loans accumulate interest as soon as they pay out to you, but you don't have to make payments while you're in school. And then they do have some more lenient repayment programs. But like I said, unfortunately, the only federal aid available to master's students and above would be those unsubsidized loans from FAFSA.
Right. Should I fill out another FAFSA application in December if I completed one in June? That's question number one.
Yes, that's a really good question. And the answer is yes. The one you did in June would have been for this current school year, this fall and spring. The new FAFSA that will open in December will be for next fall and spring. So unless you're graduating, we do want to encourage you to do another FAFSA application when it opens in December.
So it's a yearly application that we have to fill out.
Absolutely. Okay. FAFSA is an annual application. You do have to do it every year. Same with Scholar Dollars, that one too.
Okay, yeah, that's the next question. Should I fill out another Scholar Dollar application if I apply at the beginning of the semester?
Yep, absolutely. Same thing. The one that you would have already done will cover you for this year, this fall, spring, and summer. And then the new Scholar Dollars that just opened will cover you for next year, next fall, next spring, and next summer. So unless you're graduating, we do want to encourage you to do another application for both FAFSA and Scholar Dollars.
Great questions. Do we have any more questions, or you feel free to just shout it out? Okay. This is a question from Miranda. I'm a veteran using vocational rehab for my undergrad. I also use scholarships and grants to cover cost of living. How much of that gets refunded back?
So whatever is not used will get refunded back to you. So any of your charges from things like tuition fees and any other charges, that will create one combined balance on your student account. Then all of your financial aid will go towards paying off that balance. Once that balance is paid off, you will fully get back any remaining financial aid to you. We don't keep any of it. We don't put any of it towards future semesters. We give it fully back to you after your balance has been fully paid off.
All right, next question. I didn't get the opportunity scholarship this semester, but I was told I would get it next semester. When would I know? Would I get refunded for the semester?
So when you would know if you're currently taking classes this semester and not receiving it, you're most likely trying to establish something by the end of the semester. So once grades are posted at the end of the semester in December, reach out to our office so we could double check your eligibility. In regards to refunds, I can't necessarily answer that question without knowing your specific situation. So that's another thing you could inquire about once the semester has wrapped up and you have your final grades. Reach out to us, inquire about receiving in future semesters, and then you could ask about potentially receiving a refund as well.
So the next one is our Scholar Dollar and Opportunity Scholarship for master students as well.
So that's a really good question. Scholar Dollars is for master students as well. Yes, master students and graduate students at NMSU can do Scholar Dollars too. There are graduate specific scholarships available in Scholar Dollars. A lot of our grad students don't realize they can do the Scholar Dollars application, but yes, you can. And of course, yes, we do encourage our graduate students to do their Scholar Dollars application as well. And then opportunity, that is only for undergraduate, unfortunately. But yes, Scholar Dollars, you can do it for your master's as well.
Okay, and where can I check my completion rate?
So in your My NMSU account, they recently changed how you can view your financial aid, and it was a really good change. It's a lot easier to view your financial aid. So if you log into your My NMSU account, my.nmsu.edu, along those tabs at the top, there's now a financial aid tab. So if you click on the financial aid tab, this will load you into the financial aid page. Then there's more tabs across the screen. One of them says satisfactory academic progress. And in there, it says whether you're in good standing or not in regards to SAP. So that doesn't show your exact completion rate, but you can calculate that yourself. If you look at your transcripts in your My NMSU account, you could look at how many credits you've attempted and then how many credits you've passed. It shows you those on your unofficial transcript. So you could divide it yourself and it will give you the exact percent. Or you could check your SAP status on your financial aid in your My NMSU account and it will tell you whether you're in good standing or not.
All right, so Michael, can you give a brief explanation what Scholar Dollar is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Scholar Dollars is our singular all-in-one scholarship application for our NMSU students. The way Scholar Dollars works is the applications are generated specific to each student. So they take into account which campus the student is attending. They look at which department the student's in, what major the student is pursuing, and the Scholar Dollars applications generate specific based off of that criteria. So Scholar Dollars is an annual application. It does open every year on October 1st, and it has a March 1st priority deadline. So the new Scholar Dollars application for next school year, next fall and spring, just opened up this October 1st. So we want to encourage all students to do a Scholar Dollars application. These are really great opportunities to, write about yourself, write about what your interests are, write about your aspirations and your goals. And there are a good number of scholarships available through Scholar Dollars. So again, we just want to encourage every student to not only do one, but ideally do it early if possible and do it well.
As a global student, how do we work study?
So that's a good question. As of right now, for global students, in order to do work study, you would need to be physically located in Las Cruces here at our main campus. As of right now, all of the work study positions are physical, in-person type jobs, type work study positions. There aren't currently like global or virtual work study jobs currently. So again, you would have to be located locally here in Las Cruces.
Oh yeah, do you have a formula for completion rate or SAP?
Yeah, so you put it's a fraction, you put the total number of credits you've attempted on the bottom, and then the number of credits you've passed on top. So you divide your past credits by your attempted credits, and it will give you a percent. If you're not able to find that information yourself, you can reach out to us and we could pull up your account and we could look at your attempted credits, past credits, and we could do that for you as well if you're not able to find that information.
Yeah, you can always email your financial aid advisor about that too. Thank you everyone again for your time. I know it's pretty late in the evening, but thank you so much for joining us today again. So on this slide, there's website information for the financial aid in our global NMSU Global website, and there's a general email for online financial aid advisors. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot an email to this address or contact Nina or Lisa. And we will be uploading this presentation on the web after like a couple of days after this presentation. So just be on the lookout for the email notice. And again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for your immense help. And thanks, Jody, for moderating this presentation. Well, I hope everyone has a good evening. Thank you. Go Aggies. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jen. Go Aggies.
Thank you. Bye.